abolish the whole system.
What system is that, buddy?
And so this, in my mind, it kind of, came up because, like I said in the blooper reel, I look at it like Killmonger did sometimes, and I'm just like, burn it all and start over. But, I know that that's not what I want to say. It's not an attitude that everybody has for sure.
No, it definitely isn't. Everybody doesn't share the same animosity or love for our great nation.
Well, and but the thing about that is, I think sometimes
look, I get to be the bad guy. Go ahead.
that may be true, but I think sometimes that love for a thing should drive you to want it to be better, not drive you to want it to be what it's always been.
No, if I like it this way, this is where I want it.
Well, that's like.
If I love it,
No.
I love America.
So you basically say I love it if it don't change.
I love it the way it is.
Well, most people are afraid of change.
Definitely.
So when you've gotten accustomed to something to be repeated over and over and over, and you winning,
and I'm winning,
why would I want to change?
Well,
why would I want it? Here we go. I'm gonna be the bad guy. Why would I want to change a system that has benefited me and my granddaddy?
You don't.
It's my heritage.
Oh my gosh!
They gonna be sick of me by the end of this one. But it's like that. It's like that. You have to deal with both sides of the fence. There's a lot of people out here that feel like, okay, I am benefiting. My life is good. I am not scared to go down in the street and get shot. I'm not gonna be shot by the police. I'm good. What's your problem? What is your problem, buddy?
Well, see, and I get that. I get that.
Why are you trying to take my gun?
Oh my God! Nobody ever said anything about that. But my thing is, to me, sure, you can be that way, but it's just a very selfish way to be. And if the only people you care about are you and yours, then what are we doing? We're not building a society. You essentially say, I want to be over all the rest of you and screw you.
That's what it's been.
Or as we used to say, or as we used to say, Semper I.
Forget the other guy.
Exactly.
So unfortunately we didn't record it, but I heard the mention of when something is made out of love.
Oh,
What is that? What was y'all referring to in regards to this country?
I'm the bad guy. Well, not typically the bad guy.
He's Clayton.
Not Clayton. Not Clayton.
Oh, we ain't got that yet, but it's coming.
Mine's Grady.
Oh, okay.
Grady.
Yeah, Grady.
Yo, Uncle Ruckus. I'm listening.
Because for some people, it's a genuine love for the country. Nothing else. It has nothing to do with what's happening to you. Because what's happening to you and me is not happening to the rest of us.
Yeah.
So why are you kneeling? Why are you walking down the street? Why are you complaining? If you don't like it, go and get out, buddy. Go back to where you came from. That's the attitude.
That's always funny to me because that
it
mindset
don't happen to you.
That mindset says you think that no other country is better than this one, and that's a bold-faced lie.
Oh, that's the best one I ever heard.
No, I was going to go down the list about the education.
Oh, I mean, all of them. We not first in education. We ain't first in nothing except prison population. That's it. We first in prison population and military budget. Not even size, just budget.
But it's by design. So if the system was created and I'm benefiting from it, why would I want to change? And matter of fact, in our society today, a lot of people don't like what it's changing into.
That is true. Because the change is gradually is progressing and people are seeing things differently. However, going back to what you just mentioned about the popular consensus of not wanting to change because it's benefiting me. So what happens when things start changing and the people who was benefiting from the system are now becoming the so-called victims of the system because they, you know what I'm saying? Now what they ignored for so long.
It's
happening to them. Now it's becoming, oh, wait, we have to do something.
Right.
We have to change.
Well, it wasn't a problem until it, like you said.
Well,
it wasn't a problem until it affected me. Right. The voting and some of the other issues a lot of our counterparts hasn't been an issue for the last 100.
It reminds me of the opioid crisis.
That's not an issue until it hit.
It wasn't. Because during the 60s and 70s, when it was destroying the African American community, nobody cared.
Right.
Now, it's a mental health issue.
But you're threatening
your comfortability.
My comfortability. So now what? Okay, what you want to change? What do you want to see change? Because again, I don't have the problem. What do you want to see change?
So for me, I would like to see, because I think if we saw policy changes, when I say policy changes, I'm talking about in the people who create and make the laws. Like, I'm one of those people that believe that there should be term limits for both Senate and House.
Okay.
Because you can't, it makes no sense to me that in a society where there's a term limit on the president, and I get why there's a term limit on the president, because they didn't want us to have another king, so to speak. But then you didn't have term limits on the people who create and make the laws. You had no term limits on them. I don't think the Supreme Court justices should be a lifetime appointment. I don't think any of that should be a lifetime appointment. I also don't think we should continue to pay your retirement salary after you leave. You were a public servant. You served at the will of the people, and the people said, we don't want you serving anymore, so you should not continue to get paid, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
I can't continue to get paid if I, get fired or voted out or other. I can't get, even, matter of fact, if I don't stay 20 years, I can't continue to get paid nowhere.
But the rules don't apply to me in the upper echelon. Why would it apply to us?
Well, of course, because the elites created the system for the elites.
So what's your problem?
My problem is, now, guess what?
It's
the majority of the country ain't elites. You know what I'm saying? Like, most of the country are not the elites.
Okay, so let's play it. Put it this way: if you were the guy that made the rules, made the laws, had the lifetime retirement and everything else, you had all the benefits.
Yeah.
Would you give them up?
If I actually cared about this nation and not my own legacy and power, yes. If it was for the good of the country, yes. I would. Now I can't. Clearly, there are 100 people in Congress and 535 representatives that would probably disagree. But if I was in that, but that's one of the reasons why I know that it is going to be impossible for me to ever really run for any type of public office, because I believe what I believe, and I don't care about getting reelected. If you reelect me based on what I believe, great. If I don't get reelected based on what I believe, I'm okay with that, because I'm not going to not do what I think is best and is right in those situations simply to be reelected. That's one of the things I dislike about politics is you have to always make all these concessions in order to get a piece of something you want. You got to concede all these other things to other people. Instead of getting all that, you got to get this one piece. You got to push a bill through that's been watered down as much as possible, just so you can get other people's buy-in on it. I also think that you shouldn't be able to vote on packages of bills. You should have to vote on an individual bill, like an individual thing, not an individual thing tied to all these other things.
But do you think they put those packages together so I can slide in things that I need to be?
1,000,000,000%.
I need to have these things done, but I know you won't agree to this
unless I put this.
Right.
Yeah, and that is the game I don't like.
That's politics. That's what.
That is what we have determined politics is. Yes.
That's well. You can't. How can you be mad at something that you? Well, I mean, we have to accept them at this point, because how are we to change it other than voting in our local,
right?
In our local area. Start making changes there. But other than that, how are we, the people, supposed to make changes that have been in place for years?
I tell you one way you don't do it.
Years. How you do it? What's that?
You don't do it by storming the Capitol. you don't do it that way.
I'll tell you what.
I was watching this comedian that was like, "You must not know how tanks work. like you got an AK, you got an AR, but you must not understand." But
tanks. They were mad. They were mad because they feel like things weren't going their way.
Oh, I know the feeling.
No, you don't. Not in America.
I know the feeling.
This must be a new.
Don't let this beard fool you.
I'm glad we got a camera this time because you need to look at his face. That is the way 80% of the black people look in America. They sit there and look at y'all like.
I'm just saying.
Are y'all serious right now?
I would never be comfortable doing such.
Doing such what?
What? Because you more likely you're gonna get shot.
That's what I'm saying.
More than likely you'd have been dead halfway.
Nah, he gonna get shot, man.
Man, you'd have been shot before you got.
His beard will protect him, man. Bionic beard over there.
Oh, you gonna step over the fence? Roger that. We gonna take care of this.
Listen, let me tell you.
We gonna take care of this.
I don't step over any barricades. I don't step over barricades at all. Like, oh, it's a barricade. Somebody must not want people on the other side of this right here. I'm liable to get arrested or shot if I go across this barricade.
But I think we all feel like that. But so like you said, you want to get rid of the whole thing. I don't think the whole thing's bad. I don't think all of it's bad.
Are you still playing the arch villain?
A little bit.
Okay.
I don't think all of it's bad. Some of it's good. We have rights. We have freedom of speech. I get to carry my gun.
Man, what?
Freedom of speech is not is carrying a gun or not the same thing. That's not even like those are not even the same rights. What are we talking about? Like, what are we doing here?
That's
how is that?
That's right.
That's not even like those are not even the same issues.
Hey, Grady, I need you to go sit down, Grady, because
I'm not.
What?
So here's the thing. But here's the thing, right? You do. I'm one of those people that I do believe that that you should be able to do whatever you want to do as long as it doesn't hurt other people. You can hurt yourself.
Well, if you come near my house, I might shoot you. I'm gonna have my gun out.
I mean,
don't you come on my yard?
That's not legal in Virginia, but okay.
But that's what happened.
They got to.
We have rights.
We don't.
Who don't? That's the way it feels, don't it?
Here's my thing. You have the rights that they decide you have in the moment.
Well, that almost sounds like slavery to me.
But the other thing that people don't know is they don't know when. The problem is because of our educational system and because of the systems that are in place, people don't understand when and where they do and don't have rights. I remember when Oh Lord did the
Know Your Rights,
the Know Your Rights seminar.
Yeah.
I didn't know until the officer said so. And I'm not naming the officer just because he might not want to be affiliated with the podcast, but at least not this episode, right? But I didn't know that if you were that there are certain circumstances where no, you don't have the right to leave. You don't have the right to do this. And it's a very gray area when you go from one to the other. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know the questions to ask, but society doesn't teach us these things.
But it shouldn't. But that's what it takes people like me and you to take time to educate, especially our youth and other people. You put together seminars like that so they do know their rights. You don't know how to interact with the police unless you've been taught how to interact with the police. And for most young black men, black people out there, what we are told at home is comply. That's one of my favorite ones. Comply. Yeah. Just do whatever they tell you to do. Why they punch you in the face? Okay, let them punch you in the face. Okay, why? Yeah.
The thought was if you complied, at least you wouldn't die.
At least you wouldn't die. You would go home. We kind of see that's not true.
Bumps and bruises, but you're still cruising.
Right. Oh, look at bars.
I don't like that.
Bars.
So, but the change, okay, and that's why you say everything needs to change. Or there's a major need for change. I feel like the change should come on our end in educating us. That's where I think we need to change. Stop looking for the people that, okay, if I'm hitting you and you're enjoying hitting me, you're benefiting from hitting me, me asking you to stop hitting me isn't going to work.
Oh, nobody said ask.
And I understand, but
burn it all.
See?
No, don't do that. We don't need a repeat.
Well, look, you need to stand down and stand by. Oh God! But that's what he did. That's what he did. It's the same rules. It's the same rules, but you don't see it that way. Most people don't see it that way.
I get that it's the same sentiment.
When they stormed the Capitol, it was we got our counterparts. He didn't say that. He didn't tell them to do that. Okay, we know what implied is.
Okay, I saw a video clip in regards to this whole Capitol Hill storming, And there were officers and security guards that
open the door.
Open the door.
Open the door. Come on,
waving them on and encouraging them. Like, who does that?
You know why?
The system.
We all in it together.
Here's my, and this is the thing that has always, I don't know, I shouldn't say always, but at least for the last 15 years, is always anybody, and I do mean anybody, that inspires fanatical, unquestioning loyalty to me is a problem. Mm-hmm. Because that is not, and for me, I'm looking at it from maybe a biblical perspective.
Right.
But anybody that inspires that kind of loyalty with what they say can't be questioned, what they say has to be law, that to me, that is already a society that's in for a problem and not long off. But I mean, the other thing about that is, and nobody's going to like it when I say this, but there's never been a democracy on the face of the planet that has survived itself. Not one.
Well, we're here.
And we are a young one still by comparison to some of the other ones.
Right, but we're here.
I mean, the French had a revolution after we had a revolution.
But just to touch on what was said earlier, there's good and there's bad in the system. Unfortunately, in my opinion, there's more bad than good, but that's just my perspective.
Yeah.
So if we're going to make a change, we should focus on educating ourselves, like you said.
Okay.
Educating those around us so we'll be on one page and unite. That's another thing, man. I don't think there's enough unity. I don't think there's enough of that to make the changes that's necessary.
And that's by design.
Yeah, but okay, now when we say it's by design, all of us know what a system is and the major components. And I use this somewhat an analogy.
We break down
we
the
work
system.
on aircraft. Well, that's what I was going to say. You have major components in any system.
Gotcha.
So you have to find out what components you actually influence and control. One of the major components in the Black community that we do influence and control is the Black father. That's a major component that is a key element to the breakdown of our homes and in our communities. We have to take time to build that one, at least, at minimum, at the bare minimum you can do. You can adjust that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody should, unless you end up being wrongfully accused and a part of the prison industrial complex, and everybody should be able to do. But the other thing that I think with that is they have to. I think people make assumptions about what society is teaching their children and them, and not actually. I mean, I see it all the time. I mean, people even today, social media is terrible, but people today they will post or repost information that is completely false and untrue, but then they'll get likes, comments as though it's accurate information. And nobody ever stops to say, I mean, even when I post, if I find out something I posted is incorrect after the fact,
we go back.
I go back and I either clean it up or I remove the post altogether.
Right.
And I have. And some people say, well, no, you say what you say. Well, yeah, but when new information gets introduced, you should adjust based on that new information. To me, at least, that's how I feel about it. You shouldn't be like, well, I'm gonna stand my ground. Okay, well, stand in your wrong. Stand wrong. But there are a bunch of systems, and I do think that we do have to. That it does start at your house, but you have to. I mean, you yourself have to then go out and have some self-education in order for you to then turn around and educate those around you.
Mm-hmm. I got a question.
Okay.
For both of you, what was America built on?
Okay. Now, this is all right. One hand, America was built on with the ideology of being free. That didn't apply to blacks.
It didn't apply to women either. It only applied to white landowners at the time.
Right. Now, you're asking it as in for us on our perspective, it was built on the backs of slaves. So, if America was built that way, it was never designed for, like you said earlier, for these people to benefit from it.
Yeah.
More or less, these people to benefit. So you know that's what the game is now. Stop trying to deny it. Stop trying to act like it's not there. Admit it's there. Figure out what components or what elements you play in this game, and figure out what you can do to help your family first, you yourself, then your family, so forth and so on, then your community, and then the ones you can help. Because, like I said, some people don't see it as a problem. Some people see it. I'm gonna get paid for the rest of my life. I'm good. What I need to worry about you for? Because you can't eat. Because you can barely get a job. Because you can barely do like my granddaddy did. Bootstrap. Work hard. Work hard. He got the same opportunities I got.
Which is also a lot.
But that's, again, perspective is a terrible thing.
And I think it's because, yes, it is a terrible thing. And I'm going to answer your question too. I think that's part of the problem, though, is people can't see what's right in front of them. Mm-hmm. So, for an example,
I'm sorry, people don't want.
That's true. They don't want to.
They see it, but they just like
because to say that I have the same opportunity that my grandfather had is completely untrue, because the house that I live in today was purchased in 1978 for $78,000. Wow. That same house today will cost me, if I bought it on the open market, over $300,000. That is not the same opportunity at all. I mean, you're talking about a 2.5-fold increase in the price of the house, which means I now have to shell out that much more money than he did. So I have less opportunity today than he actually had, even though I may have more freedom today than he had.
So now we're talking slavery and capitalism.
Slavery was capitalism. Ooh. That's what it was.
I'll tell y'all what.
Slavery was the engine that drove capitalism. It's the entire reason. I mean, let's be frank. We know the Civil War was not really fought to free the slaves. That wasn't until Frederick Douglass came to Lincoln, like, I don't know, probably 100 times, because Frederick Douglass kept coming back to Lincoln and saying, hey, you need to make this about slavery, because and one of the reasons, if you look up history books, that Lincoln did it was because France and Great Britain were looking at joining into, they're like, hey, y'all need to figure this Civil War out, because they were missing out on all of their goods. And so Lincoln was like, oh, wait a minute. We don't want them to join on the South side where they're getting all their cotton, sugar, and all the other stuff from. We don't want them to join on that side. So we need to make this about slavery, because France and Britain had already abolished slavery.
Is that a trend to take the real cause of something and switch it to say, no, it's not about this?
It is a trend.
It's about that.
I think it is a trend. Oh, but to answer your question, what was your question again?
What was America built on? What was America built? He did.
Well, sort of. I did, but I didn't, because I didn't start in the 1700s. I started in the 1800s. But America was built on treachery and murder. If we really want to, that's what it was built on, because there were treaties. Even the Revolutionary War itself was fought because we violated treaties that we had established with the indigenous Americans, the indigenous people at the time. We violated treaties. And so then France said, oh, you can't have that land, because Great Britain had said, we won't go past this line. And we crossed the line. We were habitual line steppers. We were habitual line steppers. And so then that started a war with France. And then Britain came in, and then Britain defended us against France, and then they wanted some money for that. They said, hey, we defended you, so you need to pay some restitution. We went broke keeping you safe. And so then they started taxing them and said, you ain't gonna tax us? Well, we could have just let you die then. Y'all would have been a French nation. Canada would have been all the way down to Mexico.
Wow.
All right. But I'm glad it didn't happen.
It didn't
happen.
But I tell you, that's why I like history. So you can see things other people can't see when you can see history in its holistic view.
I like it, man.
Okay.
I love it.
So yes, that's why I say treachery and murder.
Yeah. All right.
With a splash of capitalism.